everyone, it's Robin, Arts Island Crafts, and welcome to my studio. This is my WiP It Wednesday video where I'll show you the crafty goodness that I've been working on. In our last live stream, we were working on the scraps for, whoa, this is heavy, for the Christmas fabric scrap tote that I want to put on my shelves. I did the Christmas one first because I can always put this in the closet on one of the shelves there. It doesn't have to be perfectly on these shelves or anything like that. So I just wanted to see as a tester on what it came out as. If you might notice, I did the free motion quilting on it and I absolutely do not like it. I did do a little extra features where I made this little edge here just to help it stand up a little bit. It does not really quite stand up on its own, and yes, I do really need to make a Christmas quilt. And look at this guy that I refound in my Christmas scraps. So he needs to be turned into something also. So I have lots of scraps in here, and they are all basically ones that I love because I sold all these scraps to one of you guys, or a couple of you, of my Christmas scraps that I no longer want to play with. So I do still have a lot, and some of them are large pieces. So I do have some larger chunks in here, but they're like the last of the fabric and they're not 1/8 of a yard. Someone sent me the border off of their quilt, so that's fun to play with. So there's a lot of bits in here that are quite large, and down below there's some actual stockings, the outside of the stocking that's been cut out. So I'm going to decide what kind of a Christmas quilt I might want to make with these, and that's the first step. And then I will figure out how to use this guy, and I will turn the rest of these into some type of a quilt. I think he needs to go, like, I don't know, onto a stocking or onto a pillow or something. He's from one of those panels that you can purchase that has everything there. You just cut it out. They usually have something like this to be a stuffy type creature, feature, whatever. So this one is done. This is my practice one. I also had the blue one ready last week, if you remember. This time I went through and I did my normal straight line quilting on it. My matchstick, my crazy stitch. It's not all perfectly lined up and even. When I could, I did keep it relatively even, but sometimes I have to go in between the stitches to stitch down some of the scraps. If you remember the baby fabric from the back of it. So I have this all set. I actually was trying different sizes and I folded it up to practice the size of it to see what it is, and I think I have my size down pat. So when you come and hang out with me on Saturday's live stream, 11 a.m. Arizona time this Saturday, we will talk about how they're going to fit on my shelves and the numbers I came up with. I might make another basket before then, or I might not, and we'll just test this one out and see if it's the right size. I'm thinking I need 2 baskets for each color. One for the little smaller bits that are a charm square or smaller, and then one for the larger chunks that are mostly a fat quarter or 1/8 of a yard smaller than those sizes. I did use up a lot of scraps and the blues are still overflowing. That's them right there, and there's 2 containers of them. I went through and I used a lot, but if you work with scraps, you kind of know no matter how many you use, there's always more. But after doing the crumb series several years ago when I did the crumb curtain, I did learn that I can use up all of my scraps if I just put my mind to it. I used up all of my scraps with that crumb curtain, and I was actually cutting into yardage and fat quarters to finish it out. I think I need to do some rainbow log cabin blocks. Maybe using the 2-inch blocks. I know I don't like the 2.5-inch jelly roll ones for a scrappy type project. It just leaves a lot of fabric of the same fabric and you don't have as many rounds. I like the ones that are maybe in 2 inches, 1.75 inches, 1.5 inches, and then you just have a lot of tight, narrow rounds that go round and round. Plus it helps to use up more fabric that way. Always a good thing when you're trying to use up your scraps. I don't want to use up all my scraps. I just want to use up my small scraps. I go through and I decide which ones I can use for a scrappy zipper pouch or a scrappy pillow project, and I put the smaller ones in here and I save those for my scrappy projects. I brought out this container because it just happened to be empty, so I'm using it, and I've been cutting interfacing. So I cut a bunch of the interfacing for the back of it to put my scraps down. This is the Pellon PF44, P44F. the Pillon, the 44F, very lightweight fusible interfacing. It's just not the super lightweight. Whatever you have works, or if you just want to sew them together or use a glue stick or something, it works. And I put together the brown ones last night because I thought, you know, I want to do a little crafty stuff, but I don't want to do anything that's important and that I can mess up, like sewing blocks and cutting blocks. But this is a project that I need to have moving forward. I don't want to just do one every now and then. So at night, I can easily just go ahead and fuse the browns down. And I put them all down, and I have some fun ones. I try to keep the fun ones so they'll be on the sides. I had some pizza in there, and I have the giraffe fabric that I really like. So I have all of these fused down, and the next step will be to go ahead and get them quilted. Now these I can quilt at night too, because it's just feeding it through, and it really doesn't matter that much. But I think I'm going to go ahead and fuse a few more and just maybe fuse one every night. I don't know if it takes me an hour. I don't even know if it takes that long. The problem is pulling the fabrics out and pressing the smaller bits on here. Let me show you some of my really small bits on here. I did use some longer strips because they are thinner than 1.5 inches, so I know I'm not going to use them on a scrap project, like a scrappy zipper pouch. And I did have some of these. Now I could use this, but I had larger pieces still, the little coffee fabric. So I put that on, and I have it so it's up on the side. This one is a purple one that somehow got in there. So I thought, you know what? It's my project, and it's got a creamy tan background. So I went ahead and I used it. And it's just something fun that, why is there a purple and a green one inside the brown? Because I wanted it there. So I have all the little tiny pieces, like these are all these scissors fabrics, but it's like 3 or 4 different pieces that I put in a row to make one long look of it. And then I just tuck the little pieces in wherever. They will get caught up with the matchstick quilting and everything will be fine. I think most of these scraps are probably from you guys because I don't use a lot of brown. I do have brown and I do use it occasionally, and I can pull out which ones are mine, but most of them are from you guys, so thank you so much. I'm going to use them in my scrappy bins. So that means I have Christmas, I have the blue, and I will have 1 blue bin done for this weekend. And I'm going to just do these small scrappy bits first, and then I'll worry about the next bin later on. For now, they can stay in their plastic bins, but eventually I'll do that. And if I have to, I'll just get some lower priced on sale yardage or a fat quarter, because I think I can get this basket out of a fat quarter if I'm careful. Sometimes when you do the really tight matchstick quilting, it shrinks it a little bit, and then I might not be able to get it out of that fat quarter. But a fat quarter with 1 jelly roll strip down the side would also work. And I don't mind. I can add another fabric in. I can put a white strip in there and it wouldn't hurt my feelings. Especially if I put something on the bottom, because it's going to sit on the shelf, you won't see it. So we'll see how that goes and how far I can get to making that shelf look a little bit different. I wouldn't mind too much if they were all like black containers or all white containers or something, but it's a little bit scrappy over there, and I thought, why not? I said I would never do it, so now I'll do it. The other thing I worked on was from the tutorial. I have all of these 4 patches. I just haven't decided what I'm going to turn them into. If I can get a pillow out of it, I might do that. The problem becomes is I don't know if I have any other fabrics to match this, but if you've been watching on my community tab, I did receive some low volume fabrics in the mail recently, and I know some of them are similar to this color, so I might be able to put a border around it or something like that. I just don't think I want to have a pure white border or anything like that, but if I can find something in the stash that works, I might go ahead and turn it into a pillow. Otherwise, it might be a drawstring pouch, it might be a zipper pouch, who knows. For now, it's just going to sit here, and I can remember what the charm pack was, and then I'll just go from there. We've been talking about this for a while, but we are finally hitting the 50,000 subscriber mark, so I quilted and bound the flamingo quilt that's going to be part of the giveaway, because if you've been here for a while, you know that I've had a love of flamingos for a very long time. You can see the crosshatch quilting. don't know if you get it close enough. You can see it's just a pale pink. You can see that pale pink right there. And it's the same pink that's there on the binding. So I have that nice pink batik binding, and on the back it's flamingos going up and flamingos going down. So they go in two directions. I love the way this turned out, and I definitely will make another one for myself, but I'm not sure if I want to have a plain white background. I might go for something a little different. It would be fun to have like a sunset, a little bit of the sand or a little bit of the ocean or the Gulf of Mexico on here, because they go in the water. That's how they get their shrimp. And then it would just change to a sunset or a sunrise in the background. Those colors would be really fun. If I get lucky, I can find a fabric and I wouldn't have to do anything. The flamingo fabric, the type of tropical fabric, has been really popular in the last few years. So it's not too hard to find Florida tropical or flamingo fabric. So I'll just do a little bit of looking at some quilt shops here and we'll see what happens. But I have this. I also have the red thread mini quilt that's smaller than this one. I know where it is, I just haven't pulled it out because it's in a plastic bin below a few other bins, mixed in with my Etsy stuff so that I know it would stay safe. And I'll probably also do maybe some of the rainbow cards or some of the fabric postcards, add those into the giveaway. It should be happening pretty soon. Maybe we'll even be able to celebrate it on Saturday's live stream. The other thing I worked on is this zipper pouch. I'm calling it like Americana Prim because it has, this angel here is more in what I recognize as a prim style, and Americana, of course, because red, white, and blue and all. But I always think of Americana being more of the golds and the browns with the red, white, and blue versus that bright, bright, stark white color. I did add a little bit of fabric to the top and the bottom of the angel. Now, if you look at the angel, I did not make this angel. This was sent to me. I needed to put about 5 minutes of stitching time in it to finish off that hand embroidery. Sweet Liberty, and I think she's just an adorable little angel. And I was really happy because it goes perfectly with this Americana fabric that somebody else had sent to me. I think they did a quilt with this fabric, the stars, and there was this red and white, not red and white, red and a dark red, kind of like a burgundy, kind of a, I don't want to call it dirty, but kind of grungy like fabric, and it looked like the side of a barn. So it had like the planks on it, and I just cut a handle out of it, and it worked out pretty well that it just ended up putting a plank on inside and outside of it. So I have the detachable handle, the little pom-pom, not pom-pom, the little tassel, and on the inside this time I put a little slip pocket because I thought since it's a bigger pouch that if someone wanted to use it as a little take-along purse or a little project type bag or something, you can go ahead and use it like that and still have a spot to put maybe some credit cards, debit card, whatever, or if you want to put, I don't know if your keys will fit in there, it depends on how many keys you have and such, but this is already in the Etsy shop. You can go ahead and find it listed there. I have a little small bottom to it, so I did box it just a little bit, so it has a little space down there, but I can only do so much based on the way I cut everything. I would have had to have added a lot to this panel. I didn't want to put the red or the blue on the bottom. I wanted it to just stick with the red, white, and blue going across. So I think that turned out really nice. I love the way it looks, and hopefully someone else will fall in love with it and it doesn't just sit in the shop for too long. The last thing I worked on was my fabric postcards. I have a basket here. It says postcards needs, I call it thread binding because I don't know what else to call it. And that's just the thread that when you stitch it down around the outside. Let me come a little closer because I have a lot of them here that I just sat down one night and I stitched them. Just round and round and round. Just moving everything out of the way. Sorry if I bump you. So you've seen all of these. It's just been a little bit, and I just went ahead and stitched them all. These I thought they would be fun with a kind of a pinky, mauvey, reddish kind of color. And then I put some with, oh, this one has purple. I thought the purple looked nice with those colors, even though there isn't any purple actually in the card. And then just whatever I happen to have. It was just really fun to go through and see some of the cards again. So all of these need to be determined. Am I going to put them in the shop? If you see one you like, send me a screenshot. I can definitely put it in the shop for you. I think this one and another one, I needed to go ahead and quilt them. So I quilted them on the diagonal with some of the white thread. I'm making great use out of the giant cone of cotton polyester blend thread that I have. And then just when I was doing something, what was I doing? Something for Christmas, obviously. I would just save the scraps and then Coca-Cola and ho, ho, ho. I added them onto the fabric postcards. So instead of leaving the fabric scraps from the holiday stuff sitting around, I made better use of my time and the storage space, and I just went ahead and quilted everything up into postcards. So I think these might be nice Christmas ones to put them into the shop for a Christmas listing if you want to purchase them yourself, or if you want me to mail them out as a Christmas card. That is on my list to do this summer. So I had a lot of these blue batik ones, if you recall. Everybody gets turned around which way not. I put red on all of these, so I just kind of kept with it. And then somehow they got all, they got mixed up because when I write my name on them, I keep them all in separate little areas so that it doesn't smudge after I write my name, because I use the Flair marking pen markers type thing, and they can easily smudge, and I don't want them to smudge. Normally I write below the line, and I wrote on top of the line. Do I write below the line or on the line? No, I think I write on the line. I do them in like large batches and then never do them again for a long time, and sometimes I'm easily confused. I spent a lot of time stitching one night. I was stitching all the way up until 10 o'clock. I think I stitched for 3-4 hours, not counting time away for the kitty cats and whatnot. This is one of my favorite fabrics that I have, the Christmas owls in red and green. I really like that. This was a fun fabric too. A little bit of it on there. And I did like, or I still do like, this fabric here that has rows and rows. I made a Christmas stocking out of those. That's in my shop. And of course, I love the ho 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 fabric. Every time I see it, I buy a few yards of it just to make sure I have plenty. And then the gnome fabric is fun too. And then I have a bit of cardinal left over that I popped in there. Peppermint candies, and then some more of the owls. And this fabric is fun too. It does have the sparkle on it, but when you go and iron it, it doesn't have that rubbery feel to it. So that one's not too bad. So I think I did a pretty darn good job. Now, the only thing that's holding me back from the next step is photographing it. I think I could rock if I just sold everything at craft fairs and stuff, because you don't have to take any pictures of anything. You don't have to write descriptions on it. You don't have to measure it. People can pick it up and see. They can put their phone in the zipper pouch and see if it fits, instead of having to figure things out by measurements. But of course, I have my Etsy shop, and I'm really not prepared to do craft fairs at the moment, but it does make it a lot easier to do that. So these will get photographed. As always, you can always, put your name in and claim something, and I will list it right away for you. Otherwise, these will get listed when I settle in and figure out what I'm going to do with all the fabric postcards this summer as I'm working. As a reminder, if you could please check down below. If you think you're subscribed to my channel, double check, because sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you, or maybe you thought you were subscribed and you weren't, or if you're like me, you accidentally hit the button and unsubscribed yourself, because these things do happen in my life. You don't want to miss out, because if you put your name in for the giveaway and your name is chosen, then I will not stick with your name if you're not an actual subscriber. So thank you guys so much for all of your support, subscriber or not. I will do some things that are also for non-subscribers, so you don't miss out, but the main items will be for subscribers only. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Hope to see you on Saturday on the live stream, 11 a.m. Arizona time. Have a great week. Bye.